What's up, everybody? TonyPizzaGuy here. I was actually invited to the WWE 2K17 Collector's Edition conference call with Triple H and Shinsuke Nakamura. Now, not to waste any of your time, we'll get right into that conference call, but they revealed the NXT Collector's Edition, and if you want me to go more into detail on that, as that sound says, make sure you check it out in the link in the description or on the card. But here we go with Triple H.
At this time, I would like to introduce Paul Triple H Levesque, WWE Executive Vice President of Talent, Live Events, and Creative. Paul?
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for joining this call and being a part of this. It's a very exciting announcement today for WWE 2K17 and the upcoming edition of our video game franchise with 2K, which releases worldwide October 11th. And as I'm sure everybody is aware, you know, WWE 2K video games are a huge part of WWE culture, not only for us as an organization, but for the WWE universe and our fan base. This year will be no exception. We will be delivering the biggest and baddest video game for everybody that we've put out to date. And we've already announced that Brock Lesnar is this year's cover superstar, and we've already announced the in-game return of the one and the only, the legendary Bill Goldberg, for those who pre-order the game. But today we're pleased to announce that WWE 2K17 will offer fans around the world a very special collector's edition of the game based on NXT. And it's hard sometimes for me to imagine that just a few short years ago that NXT was just kind of a concept that we had, and how quickly it's become something so much more than that. You know, we started it back in 2012, and it was designed to kind of bring in a new era of WWE and how we developed talent, and it very quickly grew into something more with, you know, with our live events and our operations here being helped and partnered with Full Sail University. It has grown into just a global third brand with incredible success, and to me, it sits right alongside of Raw and SmackDown as a third brand. NXT's move to Full Sail helped us to maximize the WWE Performance Center, which I'm sure most of you are familiar with, but if you're not, it's our 26,000 square foot state-of-the-art facility, and we opened in 2013. It's really kind of the cornerstone of NXT and what I believe is the WWE's future. It's also a part of the game in which you can, you know, sort of start your career, so to speak, at the Performance Center and go from there. The Performance Center offers our athletes that we recruit from around the globe, from every corner of the world, the opportunity to come and train with the best coaches in the industry and with the best equipment and everything that they possibly could need to become a massive WWE superstar and hopefully a global icon like the person sitting next to me, Shinsuke Nakamura. Evolution of NXT has been incredible over the last few years, and it's been extremely rewarding, I think, for everybody involved in it, but also humbling as it's kind of just exploded and grown and developed its own identity. And, you know, NXT has become pretty much one of the most watched things on the WWE network. It's our specials, our NXT TakeOver specials are some of the most popular content on the network. And, you know, NXT as a brand is really kind of to me, the bedrock of the WWE network at this point in time. And as that continues to grow, we're touring further and further across the globe, all across the U.S., UK, Germany. We have more dates coming, more tours coming, and it just, again, continues to become just its own completely unique third brand. And, you know, I think sometimes people look at NXT and think that, you know, some of it is initial success, but, you know, this year we're going to go back to Barclays Center on Saturday, August 20th for SummerSlam, and it's sold out once again. It's sold out in a very short period of time, I believe less than an hour. You know, and it speaks to the power of the brand. It speaks to the power of when you look at that roster It's almost completely different from last year, and yet it's still driving, still growing, still becoming bigger and bigger. And that's a really cool, just really cool indicator of the future of WWE and what we do as a whole, that it can continue to grow and it can continue to become bigger and bigger over the years. Now, with the NXT edition, we wanted to make sure that we were offering something truly special and limited edition for our fans lucky enough to get one. So we kind of cut no corners and try to make this unique for everybody. It will be exclusively, the WWE 2K17 NXT edition will be available exclusively for PlayStation 4 and Xbox One, and it is limited to 50,000 copies worldwide. And you'll be able to order or pre-order the edition beginning this Thursday, July 14th, until we are sold out of all of them. The cost in the U.S. will be $99.99. If you're listening now and not from the U.S., be sure to check with your local 2K contacts about the cost where you live. But to tell you a little bit about what's in WWE 2K17 NXT edition, you're going to get a copy of the 2K17 video game with exclusive premium packaging. You're going to get the NXT Enhancement Package, which has 2 parts. You get playable characters like Nia Jax, like Apollo Crews, and like the amazing and one and only Shinsuke Nakamura. You can also get a 50% boost in points earned for your player's My Career Superstar while competing in NXT. And you're going to get 3 awesome collectibles. The first, you're going to get exclusive canvas-to-canvas lithograph designed by WWE artist Rob Schamberger, and it will be autographed by Shinsuke Nakamura himself. Now, this is why there are only 50,000 units available. Shinsuke is sitting next to me right now with his hand still shaking, with his carpal tunnel syndrome engaged from signing 50,000 copies of this. So for the sake of his long-term health and sanity, we capped him at 50,000, which I'm sure he was happy about. I can just tell you right now that 50,000 seems like a lot when you say it, but when they bring the boxes into your home for you to start signing.
Yeah, I need to sign 10,000 more.
You can get to sign it. Let me see here. So, and also you're going to get an exclusive 8-inch collectible figure of the Demon Finn Balor. And I'm looking at it right now, and it is awesome. And I think it's something that people are really going to want to have. And you also get Topps NXT TakeOver London Matt Relic cards. These cards are a really cool opportunity for our fans. They include a piece of the authentic ring canvas from last year's NXT TakeOver in London. And the cards also feature one of 14 superstars that were on that event. And the superstar cards will have one of 10 different rarity levels, which makes them highly collectible. And then everyone who picks up the WWE 2K17 NXT edition will get the Goldberg Pack. This gives you access to 2 playable characters of the legendary Bill Goldberg from WCW and his WWE days, as well as playable WCW Monday Nitro and Halloween Havoc arenas. It's an incredible pack. I think the NXT edition is going to be something that, you know, NXT has really become the fans' dream, I think, in some ways. And I think this is where this game is going to really kick in with them. Having that NXT edition just puts you at a different level. And I'm excited for it. I'm excited about the exploded growth of and popularity of NXT, and excited that we can carry that over into the 2K17 NXT edition on October 11th. So thank you for your time, and I am going to turn things over to one of the most exciting superstars that I've seen come along in a long time, and somebody that I've personally sought after bringing here for a while now, and thrilled that he's here. And I want to turn it over to Shinsuke Nakamura. And Shinsuke is going to attempt to do this without a translator at all. So please be patient if we need to work on the question a little bit with him. And he will do his best, which he actually speaks much better English than he has ever told me he did. I'm positive of it. So, Shinsuke?
Yeah. If you can speak Japanese, please. Go ahead. Okay, so finally, I became a official character of 2K. So fans edit how they say uploaded on internet, YouTube. They play that now. So I became an official character of 2K17. So everybody can play, but everybody's so excited. Also me. So I learned pro wrestling from video game. So when I was a kid, and so I need to buy PlayStation 4 or Xbox to play this. Also, 50,000 signing. So I have to do 10,000 more signing. So maybe in this week I complete promise for fans. Thank you.
And now let's turn it over to questions.
Thank you, Paul and Shinsuke. It's now time for the Q&A portion of today's call. If you would like to ask a question, please enter *1 on your telephone keypad. We will get to as many questions as possible in the remaining time. As a courtesy to all participants, please limit your discussion to 1 or 2 total questions. If you have more questions for Paul during the live Q&A, please enter *1 again on your telephone keypad. You will be entered back into the participant queue. In addition, please kindly limit your questions to the topics of WWE 2K17 and NXT, as it is the focus of today's conference call. Questions outside of these topics may not be answered by our speakers, and in turn, we will kindly move to the next participant in the queue. One moment, please, while we poll for questions. Thank you. Our first question comes from the line of Brian Campbell with ESPN.com. Please proceed with your question.
Paul, thanks so much for the time. Today's news is just another step forward at NXT brand, like you mentioned, and I think one of the reasons why fans love it so much is there's an old school feel to the booking and the creative. I wanted to ask you, in your eyes, what is the difference in the way NXT is presented and booked compared with the main brand?
I think for me, that was part of the goal of when we were creating NXT, to not just recreate Raw or recreate SmackDown, was to kind of have some variety and give them something different. I think that when to me, our industry is kind of like music, and there's all kind of different genres of music. And Raw and SmackDown, you're trying to hit the most mainstream level of enjoyment of the product that you can. So sort of like pop music, and NXT is a bit more of a style of music. It's a bit more intimate, a bit more designed to hit our hardest core fans, I think, and give them something that they will enjoy. Because to me, at the end of the day, that's the core of what we do. But understanding that Raw and SmackDown are completely different and trying to hit the biggest audience possible. So, look, I'm excited that people like NXT so much, obviously, but I'm excited also they like it because it's that variety. If it was just more the same, I don't know that the interest level would be the same. And I really believe that's part of the magic of what it is. It's just an alternative. It's different. Not one is not better. They're different,
Mm-hmm. considering that NXT is no longer looked at as exclusively a developmental brand, and like you mentioned, now looked at as, you know, an in-house competition to the main two brands, how will NXT's future change with the upcoming brand split?
You know, it's funny that when people talk about it, to me, like, some people will say, well, isn't that part of the downfall of NXT? Because if a superstar becomes big enough that he's immediately going to get taken, or it's going to go away for you. I feel like that's the strength of the brand. You know, if you look at the last couple of years in the growth of NXT, you can look at various points in time where people said, oh no, like these characters or these performers are getting called up, and they're doomed, you know. And then we made somebody else the lead figures of the show and the lead characters, and that's the challenge to it, and that's the beauty of it. It's always fresh, it's always different, it always feels like there's something new going on to me, you know. And I think it's also, look, NXT sort of, it being different, it complements Raw and SmackDown, and I think why it does that is you have the opportunity to see these guys come in, make a name for themselves and on a bigger platform, and grow their own personal brands while helping to create NXT's brand. And then you kind of, if you're following NXT, you're ahead of the curve, because when they come to Raw, SmackDown, you know everything about them. You know their backstories. You know all of it. You know, and it's like being a fan of the band before they hit it big. You know, you have that kind of claim to fame. And I think for our most passionate fan base, that's exciting to them, and it helps to create the unique energy and vibe that we have. I think it's why social media is so strong for us. You know, it's people that want to be ahead of the curve.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Daniel Smith with EB Games Australia. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Paul, massive fan. Greetings from Australia. So with NXT continuing to be a massive force in the WWE universe and obviously growing, expanding so rapidly, in addition to the collector's edition content, can fans expect to see expanded NXT content in-game in WWE 2K17 as well?
Yeah, I mean, I believe that the you know, as you can go in there with more and more characters coming out of NXT being available to play in the game, with the career modes of being able to go through the Performance Center, NXT, all of that, it to me, it's about as in-depth to NXT as you can get. And, you know, then again, it could probably be much more. I don't know. I don't make video games. I don't even play a video game created. But, you know, I think it's, for our hardest core fan base, that's or our most passionate fans, that's what they want. They want that ability to be able to replicate the superstar's career path as themselves or as that character. And that now, in the last few years, the reality of that has become Performance Center, NXT, and then through the rest of your career. And hopefully that's Raw, SmackDown, WrestleMania, Hall of Fame, you know, and to be able to follow that career path and succeed within that video game is part of the excitement of it. So I think you're going to see NXT become more and more a part of it over the years.
Awesome. And customization is something that our fans in Australia, I know, love about the WWE 2K games. Do you know if there's been any additional customization options added to the new game?
That I'm unsure of. I think they made for Australia, I think they made the toilets at the Performance Center, the water goes the other way when you flush, just to make it more realistic.
We've been needing that.
Yeah, to make it more realistic. But other than that, I'm not 100% sure.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Megan Sullivan with IGN. Please proceed with your question.
Yes, I have a question about the brand split. Are you working with 2K at all about organizing it and having it be reflected in 2K17 at all?
I'm sorry, could you repeat the question? It broke up for a second.
Yeah, so are you working with 2K at all on the brand split for the game?
Well, I think, you know, for us, the brand split, the game has such a long creation time that it takes a bit of time to get everything in there. I think the brand split will probably, or brand extension will probably become a much more prominent feature of future games, as opposed to this one. But I'm sure, as you can create just about anything in these games, I'm sure our fans will find a unique way in their own right to create that extension on their own.
All right, and then my second question is there anything other than like the collectibles and whatnot in the NXT edition? Are there exclusive characters? Is Shinsuke-san going to be in the 2K game proper? Is he exclusive to NXT? And are there any exclusive unlockable characters or modes in NXT, the NXT edition?
To be honest, I'm unsure of that question. We're trying to get that answer for you right now. You can ask 2K that question. I'm sure they'd be happy to pass along that information.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Next question comes from the line of Wally Downs with The Sun. Please proceed with your question.
Hello,
Hey, Wally.
thanks for your time.
Thanks, Wally.
How you doing? You have Brock on the front of the game, and he put in a fantastic performance at UFC. I saw some comments from you and Vince praising him. How much does it sort of enforce his dominance in the company that he can cross over and put in viewers and put in a performance like that? How great is it for WWE and for the game?
Oh, I mean, it's huge. I think anytime that you could have a WWE performer that can cross over into something else and have that kind of a night or of a performance, whatever that is, whether that's going out and making a movie or a television show or competing in something like the UFC, that's huge. To me, it speaks to the amazing athlete that Brock Lesnar is, and I know I said this to ESPN, but to be able to come back at such an elite level after a fairly long period of time doing something different, and what we are is totally different. To be able to come back at that level and just put on that kind of performance and be dominant like that is amazing to me. Speak to the level of, we've said it a million times about Brock, but I think it's worth repeating. I mean, that he is a once in a lifetime athlete that comes along that is just, you can see it when you look at him. Guys don't come along that big, that fast, that quick, that aggressive, that mentality. He's a once in a lifetime combat athlete, and certainly helps everybody. UFC, banking on Brock Lesnar's name and in the very beginning of him becoming a UFC star, and then him showing his dominance with it, and now same thing. It's a great back and forth. They benefit from it, we benefit from it, and it's been great. And my hat's off to Brock. He's an amazing athlete.
And can I just ask you about some of the British wrestlers? You've obviously had Neville come through NXT. You've got Finn Balor there now, and in the Cruiserweight Classic, you've got some British guys. It seems that with some of the indie wrestling companies that are up and going, that Britain has really caught on to wrestling at the moment. There's some real good people coming through. Have you noticed that in particular? And do you have any reason why it might be around now? It's
funny to me that I don't necessarily. I get asked that question a lot, like, oh, it seems like you're very interested in British performers all of a sudden. I don't know. I don't look at it that way. To me, I just, we try to be aware of the performers that are out there at every place around the globe. That's our gig on my side of the business, right? And it doesn't matter to me. Talent or talent. I don't care if I get them from England, Japan, China, India, Brazil. It doesn't matter. And to me, it also doesn't matter what they come from, whether that's rugby, NFL, it doesn't matter. Talent or talent, athletes are athletes, and we're going to bring them here and train them how to be WWE superstars in the best way possible. So do I think there's been a resurgence of professional wrestling in Britain and in England, and it's also our second biggest market, and I think that it's fair to say that they kind of follow each other. So our popularity there is huge. I think that the British wrestling scene is growing, and I look forward to finding talent there and making them global superstars all the time.
Thanks very much.
Our next question comes from a line of Chris Danker of Dank Ops, a content creator on YouTube. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Paul. With NXT being your baby and your brainchild, what does it mean to you on a more personal level to see these NXT superstars that you helped get to that next level now get to be in their first ever video game, especially one as big as the 2K franchise?
It's huge for me. To sit back and I think you guys in the media have talked about it a lot. For me, I feel like sometimes like a dad with NXT and watching characters come through here and seeing stars that come in with a either no level of skill at what we do or with an amazing level of skill at what we do. But I watch them change from the time they walk through the door to become something more. WWE, no matter how you slice it, is different. It's a different world, a different product, a different environment, and there's a learning curve. And you see it with talent. Sometimes they come in. Some adapt faster than others, some don't. But watching them adapt and grow, watching somebody like Finn Balor change and morph and become so much more it's an amazing experience. And I look forward to the opportunity of getting to see them through the years, watching guys, Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose, Roman Reigns, watching the Wyatts over the years, watching just all of that come out of here and kind of grow and blossom into something more has been an amazing opportunity. And especially with the women, with watching Charlotte and Sasha and Becky Lynch and just the women that have come out of NXT sort of change the industry for themselves has been hugely rewarding. And then to get to a game like 2K17 that people play all over the globe and is such a massive part of what we do and a massive part of making them huge globally recognized superstars, man, it's awesome. I really can't express how great that feels to watch them be able to do that and grow into something more.
Right. Now, you mentioned the women. I know last year fans were a little disappointed that the 4 horsewomen couldn't be included in the game. Can we expect to see them in 2K17?
I hate to always pass these over to 2K. Somebody's trying to feverishly find out that answer for me at the moment.
That's right.
But yeah, there's a lot of people in the game. It's hard to keep track of who's in there, who's not, and so that announcement will be made in the future. Stay tuned.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Will do. Thank you very much, Paul.
All right.
Our next question comes from a line of Nick Schwartz with Fox Sports. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Nick.
Hi, Paul. How you doing? I'm not sure if you heard about this, but a couple days ago, Bret Hart said that he kind of took offense that your rating in WWE 2K was higher than his. And I know that a lot of guys currently on the roster play video games a lot. So I was just wondering if you're aware if there's any kind of rivalry between guys in the locker room over WWE 2K.
I had not heard that. So I'm sorry, there's a report that somebody was upset that their video game ranking was lower than mine. I don't even know how that, to be honest, works. But I suppose it probably is. Look, I see guys arguing about stuff all the time in the locker room, and video game rankings would probably be maybe a part of that. I know they're very competitive with each other in a lot of ways, and I'm sure they're competitive of playing this game like they are so many others. So it wouldn't surprise me. I would imagine they're competitive with everything. Trust me, the locker room can make anything a competition. Nick, are you there?
Our next question comes from the line of Ash Rose with Talk Sport. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Paul. Thanks for today.
Hello? We've lost him.
Shinsuke himself, you've fought many of the best wrestlers in the world throughout your career. How unique of an athlete is Shinsuke, and how big can he come in WWE?
So I lost most of that question. Sorry. I believe you asked me how rare of an athlete is Shinsuke Nakamura. Man, I've watched a lot of guys over the years, and there are certain talent that you're just drawn to, and I think fans are just drawn to. That's charisma, that's X Factor, that's all those things. Shinsuke brings something to the table that I haven't seen in a long time, and he brings exactly that. He brings a level of charisma, a level of showmanship that you don't see with a lot of times with guys that have an aggressive style like he does, the striking that he does, and the skill set that he does. He's an amazing athlete. Again, I think he's somebody I've had my eye on for a long time of being part of WWE as a whole, just because I think he is that different level of performer. You know, he's one of those guys that it's harder to explain, I think, what he is, because when you start to begin to say it, it just doesn't do it justice. So you kind of just have to say, when you're explaining Shinsuke Nakamura, you just kind of have to say, you just got to see him. You just got to watch him, because it's awesome. And I think once you see him, you want to watch him again. He's that kind of performer.
And also part of WWE 2K that makes it so brilliant is the fantasy matchups that you can have on the game, one of which could be Triple H versus Shinsuke. Is he somebody who you could imagine stepping in the ring with, and what sort of bout you guys would have?
Yeah, but look, if I step back into my career, Shinsuke would be a guy that I would love to be in there with and love to compete against with, because I think he's one of the best in the world, especially right now, and I think he's one of the best, period. So I would love to have gotten in there with him. I'm imagining, though, I have not had an opportunity to experience one of his kicks, but I'm imagining that it looks like he kicks hard enough that I probably will feel them in the video game. When the character kicks my character, I might feel them myself. So, it's awesome. I think that's one of the exciting things of the game, that you can take, Shinsuke Nakamura, and he can just go through this legendary set of characters from the past, from all the way through, and you have the opportunity to match them up, things that you could never possibly see, and you get to recreate them yourself, or you get to create them yourself, I should say. And that, to me, is for me, that's the exciting part of the game.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Paul.
Thank you.
Our next question comes from the line of Christian Jor with Computech Media. Please proceed with your question.
Hi, Paul. Did I get it right in the beginning that Shinsuke is exclusively in the Collector's Edition and not playable in the standard version of the game?
Hold on, I'm trying to find that out. Sorry. So, that's one of the questions you need to ask 2K. I'm unsure of that. As this information comes out, 2K. One of the things with a video game for us is, as you can imagine, a lot of these things are planned way in advance, but they play them very close and don't put out a lot of the information for a reason, and they're trying to build as much interest and demand for the game as possible, and they try to keep that as secretive as possible. But I can tell you right now that for sure, for me, if you want to for sure play Shinsuke Nakamura in the game, in the 2K17 game, I can guarantee you a way to do it is to get the NXT edition. That will guarantee it. I'm unsure of whether he is in both.
As a German, I just have to ask this. What are the plans for Tim Wiese? Will he really be a wrestler or just some special attraction for the German fans on the next tour?
We're going to see what happens with Tim. You know, Tim has been very interested in the WWE and being a WWE superstar for a long time. He has been very persistent about it, and we're going to bring Tim to the Performance Center, and he's going to start to train a bit, and we're going to see where it goes. I think that I know for sure he'll do something. He'll do probably some type of a match with us, and but what that is long term will depend on Tim. Will depend on how his training goes and what he ultimately wants to do, and whether or not he's good enough to make it in the WWE. You know, it's one thing to say I want to be a WWE superstar. It's another thing to go out there and do it. It takes a lot of hard dedication. Guys dedicate their lives to it. You don't get to be Shinsuke Nakamura just because you say you want to be. You have to work your ass off for it, and we'll see where it goes.
Thank you, Paul.
Our next question comes from the line of Sergio Bustos with WWE Magazine España. Please proceed with your question.
Hey, Sergio.
Hi, Paul. Hi. In this new era, and now with the new brand split in the WWE, what do you think Raw and SmackDown can learn from NXT and NXT from Raw and SmackDown?
You know what? It's hard to say that you learn something directly from, oh, this brand specifically showed me this, or this brand specifically showed me that. I feel like the business constantly changes. What fans want, what fans are into, what they're interested in constantly morphs and changes. Characters that worked 15 years ago wouldn't work today. Performers that were huge 10 years ago wouldn't work today. You know, it's constantly morphing and constantly changing. I think they will all learn from each other. I think when you see things succeed in SmackDown, you're going to see them begin to morph into Raw, and as things begin to succeed in Raw, you're going to see them morph into SmackDown, and vice versa, you know, with NXT and all of it. To me, that's the exciting part about the brand extension. It creates a lot more opportunity for a lot more talent, a lot more ideas to be put out on the table, and performances to take place, and that gives the NXT universe much greater variety, much greater option for them to express what they like and dislike. And you know, at the end of the day, maybe sometimes not as fast as they want it to be, but their voices change the business and change the industry, and they created success as much as anything. So I think the brand extension is going to be that opportunity for them to express themselves more than ever, and really morph and change to what they want.
Okay, thank you. And the last question, in WWE 2K, you can play any match with wrestlers of different time. What is your dream match?
Well, my dream match right now, hard to say. You know, there's a lot of guys that if I looked at the current crop of talent in the WWE that I would have loved to have gotten in there, and that's from, you know, Finn Balor to Sami Zayn to Kevin Owens to Neville to I think if I had to pick a guy right now for me, and I'm not saying it because he's sitting next to me, but there's an intrigue factor to Nakamura that if I was to be able to say, you know, go back in time and wanted to do it at the peak of my career, and he was at the peak of his, I know I would thoroughly enjoy that. I just think he's a very unique character in that question, but since he is sitting next to me, I'd love to ask him the same question. Shin, what would be, since the video game allows you to play any character in history and sort of, so to speak, what would be a dream match for you?
Shinsuke Nakamura against Andre the Giant.
Andre the Giant? Yeah.
I want to feel his size.
His size, yeah. I think that's really cool. I think a lot of guys would say Andre the Giant too, from just growing up and being in awe of him and who he was as a former man. I think that's a lot of guys would be the same. That's a good one, Andre.
Okay, thank you very much.
Harley Race would be another guy for me.
Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, due to time constraints, we have reached the end of the question and answer session, and with that, the conclusion of today's call. Thank you, Paul and Shinsuke, and thank you all for joining today's WWE 2K17 conference call presented by 2K.
Thank you, everybody. Thanks for joining the call, and look forward to this being an awesome game.